Cuckoo.
Hi everybody, so I'm back in the 254. Just thought I'd do a quick review and recap of my recent visit to Valenciennes. Let's get this going. So this was my first time flying out of the country. I flew KLM from Nairobi to Amsterdam. Being that we were doing the trip during COVID times, the flight was basically empty. You'd have an entire row with just empty seats from window to window. So there's two things that they never tell you, it's never apparent whenever you see like footage of people in an airplane. The first thing is, man, it's noisy, like the engine noise. You can just imagine, and it kind of makes sense. So imagine you can hear that plane all the way when you're on the ground, and that plane is like, all the way even above the clouds. What about that person who's now like next to that engine? Like the roar of the engine it's real. Like every scene in a movie, it's usually so quiet, so chill. The second thing is, my God, who will have imagined that it's even bumpier in the sky than it is, like especially on our Kenyan roads. You think our Kenyan roads that they have potholes that it's bumpy. Man, I had the shock of my life. Every minute, the plane is just funny story, because I was seated next to the window. So like when I was trying to sleep and just have a bit of turbulence, I'd wake up and now start staring out my window, like just to check if the ground is coming closer to the plane. Like, are we about to crash? Man, I was so nervous. I'm a huge fan of air crash investigation on National Geographic. So I was just every time there was a bit of turbulence, I was like, hey, now my flight is about to be featured on that show. But thankfully we made it to Amsterdam in one piece. Now there's another thing that happened, the feeling you get for your ears popping. Now for me, the experience was much, like, I don't even know, like 1,000 or even 1,000,000 times worse. So yeah, going up there was no problem. When it started descending, my ears now really started hurting, and I just felt like my head was being crushed, and like I had a water bottle next to me. I could hear it now starting to like pop and crack, like it was being crumpled. I have never felt such pain like in my head in my life. Like it was really bad. So I reached out to the flight attendant, told her that my head really hurts, and if there was anything like she could give me or anything I could do to help with that. She went back to the cabin crew's quarters, like in the back of the plane, and came back with a pack of chewing gum, and she told me, like, if I did some chewing, that will help. And yeah, so it did help, but not as much as I had hoped or imagined. So yeah, I was still in so much pain. And about KLM, they have some really amazing and friendly cabin crew. I managed to make friends with one of the flight attendants, and yeah, she was so friendly. Even got me extra meals and extra snacks during the flight. Got to chatting with her a bit when it wasn't so busy. Like I said, the flight was basically empty, so like the cabin crew weren't so busy serving up drinks and all that. And when I notified her that this was my first time ever, and she came back with a nice card, and she had written a very, very lovely message for me, and also gave me like a nice trinket, a key holder that I'm even now using for my keys. And you can see there, like a nice airplane over there. So yeah, the KLM cabin crew was really nice and really friendly. I enjoyed getting to know and to chat with at least the one that I befriended. So yeah. Now, if I thought that the turbulence on my way to Amsterdam was bad, I was in for a rude awakening on my flight back. We were flying Ethiopian Airlines, and now from Paris to Addis Ababa, and then from Addis Ababa to Nairobi. On the way from Paris, we were flying over a thunderstorm, and my God, no, this is what extreme turbulence, whatever I had experienced on going to France, that was nothing. That was nothing. That was smooth skies. Now we happen to just be flying over a thunderstorm, and every once in a while there'd be this huge like flash of lightning. It will light up like the whole cabin, and now you can imagine the turbulence. It was so bad that the lights on the exit signs actually came on, like, and I was like, now this is it. Looking back, I don't think it was that bad. When you're in a situation, it really seems like the end of the world, but once you look back, it was basically, I don't think it was as bad as I was experiencing it in the moment. Can I just say, Addis Ababa looks really beautiful, really amazing, like from the air. They have like some crops that they grow in very, very interesting patterns, and it looks really beautiful from the sky. I don't know if it's some of that shash that we're always hearing about, but yeah, it looked really, really beautiful and amazing. It was like a carpet. It looked like a carpet from the sky. It looks really beautiful when you're approaching Addis Ababa airport. So about Valenciennes, officially it's a city, but it's not so big. But yeah, the place is really nice. It's really awesome. It's an old town. It has lots and lots of really old buildings now juxtaposed with new buildings, the new architecture of the new age now. The architecture in Valenciennes is really awesome, especially the churches. What? Special mention to the churches, those really old churches. There was one such church, or should I call it cathedral, right opposite my hotel, and in fact that was the view from my hotel room. And according to what the concierge at the hotel told me, that church, it was called Notre Dame, that church is over 400 years old. He said that it's been demolished and built up severally. Europe has gone through one or two wars, and he told me that as it stands right now, it's over 200 years old. So it was closed. We didn't really get to go inside. We could only have a look at it from the outside. It's under renovation at the moment. So also, according to what the hotel concierge told me, the hotel used to be like a monastery where the priests and the nuns used to live. The church still stands, but now the convent has been converted into a hotel. My first day in Valenciennes was really, really weird. It seemed like morning the whole day. Like the sun never got at its close. What I'm used to is like the sun rises on one side at some point in the middle of the day, it's right above your head, and it sets on the other side. But here the sun never got close. It was constantly like on the horizon. It just moved from one side of the horizon to the other side of the horizon, and I was like, what kind of sorcery is this? I've never experienced something like that. Also, in the evening, by 5 p.m. it's dark, and for me, that first day was really confusing. I'm looking at my time, and I'm just confirming, it's 5 p.m. and I'm like, who turned off the lights? The other thing is that it was really cold. Like even when the sun was outshining, I'd still have to be in a jumper, and it was really disorienting. Like you're seeing the sun, but you're feeling cold. Honestly, I've never been so cold in my life, especially on the days when the sun wasn't out, like it was cloudy and rainy. I have never been so cold in my life. I was shivering like I'm in gloves. I'm in a Marvin. I'm still shaking. I remember this one time where I went to the park, and even the ducks, like they weren't in the water swimming, they were just on some piece of rock with their heads inside their wings, like they were just trying to keep warm because it was so cold. And yeah, you can imagine if the ducks are having such a hard time keeping up with the cold, what about myself? I'm just used to the heat of Africa. Yeah, man, it was an eye experience. Another thing about Valenciennes, and I think France in general, you've heard that the French are really artistic. Man, the place is littered with graffiti. Everywhere you turn, there's graffiti. There's even places that you look at and you're like, hey, how did that graffiti artist, manage to get all the way like there to do his thing? Because yeah, some really hard to reach areas. The place is just littered with tons and tons and tons of graffiti. And speaking of art, they had some really interesting statues and sculptures around, some of which, let me just say, were exposed. So yeah, like I'd be walking in the city or in the park, and just turn a corner and you come face to face with a statue that has everything exposed. That's some really, how can I call it? Some really, I can't call it embarrassing, but some interesting moments. Also, everybody in Valenciennes was really helpful. everybody tried to do what they could, like, to help out. And especially with the language barrier, like my friend and I, we didn't speak much French, and also a lot of the people there don't understand English. But like you've seen in a previous video I've posted, there's this guy who I think he was on his way to work or something with his bicycle, and he took the time to guide us to a bank where we'd be able to get the help we needed. That was a recurring thing. There was this time where I was looking for Western Union, and Google Maps took me to a MoneyGram, and like at the MoneyGram station, this customer that was there, like he was like, hey, you're in the wrong place. We couldn't even communicate. He was speaking French and I was speaking English, so we couldn't really communicate, but he sort of understood that I was looking for a Western Union, and he was like, 1 minute in my car, I take you. 1 minute in my car, I take you. And yeah, when he was done with his transaction, asked me to get in his car, and yeah, he took me to Western Union, where I was now also able to sort out my business. And you can imagine, like, here, if you get into a stranger's car, you don't know what might happen to you next. But in France, everybody is just willing to help out where they can, and it was a really wonderful experience to me. About the meals served at the hotel, let me just say, I don't even know French cuisine. I don't even know what you can call it. It's not even an acquired taste. It's like a forced taste. If I had to eat that every day for the rest of my life, it would be a no. First of all, the hotel menu is in French, so even going through it, you don't even know what to order, what it is that you're ordering. They have some really weird combinations of meals. Like there was this one time I had beans with duck and sausage, all cooked together in the same pot, right? And it's coming served in the same dish, right? So another day I made an order. It was rice paella, is what it read on the menu. So paella is rice that has been made with minji, peas, and also comes with bits of meat, chunks of meat inside there. So there's chicken and there's mutton. So you can imagine rice, peas, chicken, mutton, all cooked together and brought like in the same dish. So on another day, I ordered beef bourguignon. I don't even know if that's how that guy at the hotel was pronouncing it. Beef bourguignon. So, and I was like, how bad can beef get? But my God, once that meal arrived, I don't even know if I managed to finish it. So it's basically beef stew. So it has 2 big chunks of meat, and then there's what seemed like all the carrots in France into that meal, and now it came in a stew. That was by far the worst meal I have had. Not just in France. That's by far the worst meal I've ever had in my life. I can't even describe the taste. I've never eaten or tasted mud. I imagine that's how it would taste. That meal was bad. How do you mess up beef stew? How do you like, that's the easiest thing to make in this world. But man, unbearable. The taste was unbearable. And that time you're hungry, and portions they were serving at the hotel, the meals are already pre-packed. So, and it's even on the menu they've written 380 grams every meal. So I think they pre-packed and pre-weighed. The portions were so small. Like, the expression I'd use is, it's the kind of meal that you'd use to trap a mouse, like you'd place on a mouse trap. But even for me, like, I wouldn't be so cruel to put such a tiny portion of food on a mouse trap. If a mouse is gonna die, you want to go out, on a full stomach. So yeah, the portions were so small, and on most of the nights where I had hotel food, I'd basically just sleep on an empty stomach. Yeah, the portions, it's nothing to write home about. And so the workaround, or the remedy that I figured out to the extremely small portions they were serving us for dinner is, now I'd compensate for that in the morning. So breakfast was supposed to be a breakfast buffet, but due to COVID restrictions, you just make an order and they bring up whatever you ordered to your room. But for me now, what I'd do, I'd go down and like supervise whatever that guy was putting like in my tray, and I'd be like, I want For croissants, I'd get like 5 or 6 croissants. There were some of these, they look like croissants, but they had chocolate inside. I get like 4 of those. There was cereal, cornflakes. I'd get 2 bowls. What else? Yeah, there'd be fruits like an orange, bananas. I'd get like 2 oranges, 2 bananas. If there were grapes, I'd get a ton of grapes. If it was yogurt, I'd get like 2 or 3 cups of yogurt. I'd get a jug of milk, for now, for the cereal, as well as for now tea for myself. Yeah, and my tray. after like 2 days, that guy even had to get a special tray for me. Like the normal trays at the hotel weren't fitting my order. Like he had to go and get like an extra big tray that it was even a struggle, like fitting it through the hotel hallways because it was so wide. And by the way, on that note, one morning I met with the cleaning lady. Like I was from downstairs getting my breakfast, and I'm there with this huge tray. I could just see the look on her face, like, hey, like, how is one human being going to finish all what is on that tray? Like I got done with my breakfast and packed up and left for school that day. And the funny thing, I don't know, that lady, I don't know what message she was trying to send, but that day when I got back to my room, after she had cleaned up my room, made up my bed, put some new towels in, she had given me like 3 extra rolls of tissue paper. I don't know what message she was trying to send, but yeah, imagine. There was this dog that belonged to the hotel concierge. During my stay at the hotel, I really got fond of her, and she also got really fond of me. And every time that I'd leave my room to go and get breakfast, she'd come running, just jumping on me. I'd play with her a bit. Every time, in the evening when I was getting back to the hotel from school, I'd find her just, by the door, waiting for me. And yeah, imagine just the whole day. And I understand why dogs are man's best friend. She'd just be waiting there for me, get really excited when I was walking through the door, wagging her tail. I'd get to pet her, play with her a bit. Yeah, really made my stay at Hotel Notre Dame much better. Gave it that homely feel. At the end of the day, there's somebody who's eager and happy and waiting for you just to walk through that door. It was really a nice experience. As for Rubica, man, that school is just amazing. The infrastructure and the amenities available to the students at that school really blew me away. The staff, Pierre, Philippe, everybody was really friendly to us, very accommodative. Really had a good time. The students as well, they were really accommodative, so eager to show me the games that they were creating and they were working on, the game projects. I enjoyed playing a few games here and there. The highlight of my time at Rubica is the first day I arrived at the school, met up with Philippe, who is the head of gaming, and he really insisted that the very next day I was gonna conduct a lecture on gaming. I was so anxious, I was really anxious. But everything turned out okay. The students responded really well to my lecture, gave very good responses whenever I asked questions. It was an amazing experience, especially because the class was a hybrid class. There are some students who are physically in the class with me, and some others were attending the class virtually via, I think it was Google Meet or something like that. And even the online students were posting questions in the chat. It was a really nice experience. I really enjoyed. I was afraid and I was anxious, but as it turned out, there was nothing to be afraid of. And yeah, we had a really good time. That lesson was really nice for me as well as the students, according to the feedback that they gave me after the lesson. Some of them even told me that they were going to be integrating some of the things they had learned in that lesson in the projects that they were going to work on during the semester. So yeah, that was some really positive feedback and a really positive experience. Now I'm back home in Nairobi, enjoying the nice lovely December weather. It's really sunny outside, which is in stark contrast to the weather experienced and the temperatures I experienced in France. I had a really good time in Valenciennes. Everybody was friendly. It was a really amazing and eye-opening experience. Everything just flowed so well. A big thank you to everyone at ADMI who made this trip possible, everyone at the French embassy that was involved in organizing this trip, and everyone at Campus France for sponsoring this trip. And sides, just let us know when the next trip is and we'll be at the airport. Cheers! So that's all for now. I know it's been seeming like this is a travel vlog channel, but I'll be posting a video soon explaining what kind of content you ought to be expecting from Cheza Cheza. So definitely subscribe for that, and I'll see you soon. Au revoir.